Demystifying Merit Aid. That is the topic of today's video. My name is Craig Meister. I'm a college admissions coach. You can learn more about me and how you can work with me one-on-one throughout the entire college admissions process on my website, which is collegemeister.com. You've probably heard of financial aid if you're applying to or looking to attend an American college or university, because it's really costly to attend public and private colleges in the United States. And so most families are going to want to find any way possible to pay less for the experience and the pleasure of attending an American college or university than they would otherwise have to if they paid retail. And so today we're going to dive into merit aid in particular, because financial aid actually comes in two different forms from the college or university. It comes in the form of need-based aid, or it comes in the form of merit-based aid. And what I mean by two different forms, basically those are the two reasons why a college would be willing or able to grant you aid. Now, the actual form it takes could be in the form of anything from a loan to a grant to work study, you name it. But we're talking today about the motivations for the aid. There's need-based financial aid, which again is based off usually you submitting a lot of information about your family's income and assets and debts. And then the college determines, whether or not the college thinks you should or could be able to afford the retail price. And if you can't, how much they're willing to discount it, and by using what tools, whether it be work study, loans, or grants, in order to make up the difference between what that institution thinks you can afford and what the actual retail price is. But then there's also merit-based aid, and that's what I want to focus on today. Merit-based aid is really quite mystifying to many families because it's not clear from one institution to another how merit-based aid is doled out. And that's because at every institution in the United States, that institution has complete operational control over how they choose to award merit-based aid, if they do at all. There are some institutions that don't really officially offer merit-based aid. They only give need-based aid. Then there are institutions that are extremely focused on doling out merit-based aid. So you may be saying, what is merit? Well, merit, just like beauty, is in the eye of the beholder, right? It could be because, merit could be argued to be an athletic scholarship. It could be an academic scholarship. It could be because you play the trombone and they need a trombone player, or they really want to attract someone from your country or your state or someone of your demographic background for whatever reason, and they can dole out merit-based aid based off of these different criteria. So merit-based aid is not cut and dry. It's not black and white. It doesn't usually, don't go on the website of the college's financial aid page and there's a list of all the ways in which you can earn merit aid. This is usually something that the colleges keep close to the vest, meaning that the colleges don't really want to share or have no motivation to share the reasons behind why they give merit aid out. Sometimes it's because they change the reasons from applicant to applicant and year to year. Or sometimes they have different budgets for merit aid, so they don't want to overpromise and underperform, so that they just, it will be a happy surprise if you get merit aid, but don't expect it because many colleges don't have an actual separate application for it. With that said, there are some colleges that do have merit scholarships that you have to apply to and for, and you have to write extra essays for and interview for a particular scholarship. Those are what I would sort of call more transparent, formal merit scholarship programs. But there is a whole iceberg under the water that is just itching to come up to surface that represents the vast majority of merit-based aid that colleges dole out and give out each and every year. And this is the merit-based aid that does not require an extra application or interview or formal scholarship ceremony. It's just a matter of when you get accepted, you also are informed that you've now been given this merit aid. And it could be for $2,000 a year, $2,500 a year, $10,000 a year, $25,000 a year, you name it. And so what I'm trying to do today, and I haven't done it yet, and I apologize because it's hard to sort of introduce this because there's all these different moving parts, but what I'm trying to do today is demystify what the heck this merit aid is about and where you're most likely to find it. The fact of the matter is, you really have to do some sniffing and some researching and your due diligence to determine if particular colleges are more likely or apt to give you or your student merit-based aid than others. But one thing is always true, that if merit-based aid is going to be doled out to certain applicants, it is most likely you're going to be a strong contender for that aid if you are in the top 25th percentile of what that college normally accepts based off of grades and scores. That's really important to understand. Now, during the test optional movement that we've been living through for the last several years in earnest since 2020, some of these scholarships are not even dependent any longer on your test scores. They're mainly based off of one's GPA. But I would say the vast majority of merit-based aid is based off of a combination, or has consistently been, or traditionally been, based off of a combination of an index of the interaction between your grade point average and your SAT or ACT scores, and then you just get automatically offered the aid. But again, you're not going to get the merit-based aid with the acceptance letter if you're in the bottom 25th percent of what that college accepts, or even in the middle 50%. If they really want to attract you, they're probably going to hold off on offering you a merit package or merit aid unless you are in the most impressive cohort of applicants statistically at that college. So saving you some time and energy from doing a lot of digging into which private and public institutions may be more likely to give you aid, a really good, easy game plan you may want to have in the back of your mind, or even in the front of your mind as you cobble together your college list, is the safeties are really important. The safeties on your list are extremely important. The places at which you are slam dunk going to get in, you really want to make sure that those safeties are well thought out, because they are also the colleges on your list that are most likely to be going to give you merit-based aid, if any will, because you're going to be one of their objectively strongest candidates for admission in that particular admission cycle. And so you sure as heck better like your safeties, because if you don't, once your mom and your dad see that you've been offered a $30,000 scholarship to one of them, their priorities for you may change quite a bit from what they expected their priorities to be the week before. And they may all of a sudden be pressuring you to attend one of your safeties because of what a great deal it is compared to colleges that may have accepted you at the possible and reach level on your list. So just keep that in mind. You want to pick strong safeties for you, safeties at which you would actually attend, because those are the colleges that are most likely, if any, on your list to surprise you or not surprise you with some sort of impressive merit-based aid package. Otherwise, again, do your research. Go on the financial aid websites of each college on your list and see if there are any additional scholarships that they may offer if you do extra work, like an extra essay, engage in more interviews, or what have you. And sometimes, again, that you're lucky and you hit gold, and a college actually will say explicitly on their website that if you have this sort of high school GPA and this a test score, that you're likely to get this amount of aid. That's lovely when a college is extremely transparent from the beginning. But oftentimes, again, you don't know until you've been accepted whether or not you are going to get any sort of merit aid. And I do want to make very clear, merit aid is traditionally, though not always, completely separate and apart from need-based aid. Need-based aid is usually determined, again, based off of your family's financials and filling out the FAFSA or CSS profile or the college-based financial aid form. It is, in very rare cases, a situation where merit-based aid is not offered unless you also apply for need-based aid. In the vast majority of cases, merit-based aid is offered irrespective of your family's application for need-based aid or need for or desire to benefit from need-based aid. I have worked with students who are extremely wealthy and they are offered merit-based aid all the time. I've also worked with students who are extremely disadvantaged financially, and oftentimes they'll get good need-based packages, and sometimes, especially from their safeties, very impressive merit packages to boot. So that's a lovely gift when that happens. All right, so I hope I demystified it a bit. I mean, again, I am not a financial aid expert. I would never claim to be, but I do help families as they navigate the entire college admissions process. So over the last 18 years of doing this, I have become somewhat savvy as it relates to helping students zero in on having colleges on their list that would be most likely to have some extra funds available to make the experience a little less expensive. I will also just put one more word in at the end for third-party scholarships. Now, many students and families would interpret these as merit-based scholarships, and they arguably are, but just know that almost in all of those cases, extra work will be involved. And for all the merit aid you get from a third party, you could be at risk of reducing the amount of need and or merit-based aid, but mainly need-based aid, you receive from the colleges on your list if you're a need-based financial aid applicant. So with that in mind, there are exceptions, but I usually strongly urge my applicants to not overdo the application process for third-party scholarships at all, but especially not until after the student has already completed very strong applications to the colleges on his or her list, because the stronger the quality of your applications, and of course the wiser the list, the more likely you're not going to have to do a lot of extra work to get some really nice merit aid packages, because you've thought long and hard about the list. And why start looking for money from third parties that could ultimately, especially if you're also a need-based financial aid applicant, reduce the amount of need-based financial aid you ultimately get during your first year and future years at that particular college, because you will have to report whatever third-party scholarship you get as a source of income that will then therefore make the college want to reduce how much need-based aid it gives you. So there are pros and cons to third-party scholarships, which was not the focus of this video, and I've gone down a rabbit hole and I shouldn't have done it, but I could do a whole nother video on third-party scholarships. But again, the big takeaway today is make sure you have safeties on your list. And the more safeties you have on your list, the more likely you're going to be very happy to get not only a number of very impressive acceptance letters, which will make you feel great about yourself and build your self-esteem, but also more likely than not, though I can't guarantee it, this is not financial or medical advice, but more likely than not, you will also get some good merit aid with those safety colleges on your list. Until next time, again, my name is Craig Meister. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up or also subscribe to my channel. Tell your family and friends about it too. If you want to work with me one-on-one, you can go to my website, which is collegemeister.com. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and most importantly, stay stress-free throughout the entire college admissions process.